When the Ford Territory first came out, it revolutionized what a value compact crossover should offer for the price. 3 years later and over 15,000 units sold, the next-gen Ford Territory has now landed on our shores. Now what we have here is the base spec Ford Territory Titanium, and in this video, we get to check it out. Let's do this. In the local Ford lineup, the Titanium line is usually the top spec model. However, for the next-gen Ford Territory, the Titanium takes the place of a base model since there is a higher Titanium X trim. But with the price of the top spec Titanium X now at almost the same price as 7-seater crossovers from China, most people would likely go for this base Titanium trim. Priced at 1,335,000 Philippine pesos, this base trim compact crossover is still a bit on the pricey side, but knowing Ford Philippines, this price will also come with a bunch of delicious features and goodies. So, what exactly does this next-gen Ford Territory Titanium bring to the table? Now, before we find out, well, special thanks to Ford Global City for providing the base spec Ford Territory Titanium to do this car feature. Here at Reagan's Rides, we do car reviews of SUVs, sports cars, trucks, and everything in between. So subscribe and hit the bell. Alright, so the previous gen Territory was often accused of looking like a Range Rover Evoque. Now, it seems that this next gen Territory has already fixed that because this looks like a regular crossover that comes from China or Korea. I mean, the crossovers that come from both countries kind of share the same design look, meaning that they both look, yes, futuristic and shiny. Anyway, dude, this next-gen Ford Territory now comes with this wide and gaping honeycomb front grille there that has been chromed out, plus the LED DRLs are now mounted up top, making them look like, squinty eyes. Now, the actual LED headlights can now be found lower here on the front bumper. Now, dude, this is, in fact, this is a good look. But one thing I know for sure is that it still doesn't look like anything that can be found in the local Ford lineup. The side profile is probably the blandest design aspect of the next-gen Ford Territory. You see, we have a typical compact crossover silhouette here, nothing fancy. Plus, this base trim rides on smaller 18-inch alloy wheels versus the 19s found in the top-spec Titanium X. Not that you could say that 18-inch wheels are small. I mean, it's like saying 6 inches is short. But anyway, enough of that. Now, dude, this side profile doesn't really have any like fancy lines or curves here, you know. Those are things that you'd normally find in, let's say, a crossover from a Korean car maker. But not from Ford. Now, when it comes to the mechanical bits though, the next-gen Ford Territory gets the mechanical bits largely carried over, I mean the suspension and braking bits, because we still have 4-wheel disc brakes here, and it still has MacPherson's up front and a multi-link at the back. However, what's curious though is the ground clearance of the next-gen Ford Territory has gone up by 10 millimeters. It's now at 190 millimeters versus 180 from the previous gen, despite the fact that it still has the same mechanical bits. Now, the engine and transmission has also received an upgrade. While this is still a 1.5-liter turbocharged 4-banger, it now puts out 158 horsepower and 248 newton-meters of torque. The transmission has also been replaced from the previous gen CVT to a wet-type dual-clutch transmission now. The thing is, I haven't really driven a Ford that comes with a dual clutch, so I'm quite curious to see how this baby right here will perform in a proper driving review video. Now, I do hope that I get a chance to drive one of these pretty soon. Just like the previous gen Territory, this next gen delivers when it comes to the cabin quality and tech features. The thing is, this is the base model titanium trim, so yeah, expect a little bit of cuts here and there. I mean, if you check out the seats, you'll see that the seats are wrapped in partial leather. You know, I've heard of vegan leather and faux leather, but this is the first time I've heard of partial leather. So we have partial leather that are perforated here versus the full leather found in the top spec titanium trim. We also lose the panoramic sunroof, dude, which might be a deal breaker for some. But then again, yeah, if you want the panoramic sunroof, you can always pony up for the top spec titanium X trim. The digital gauge cluster is also smaller at 7 inches, yeah, versus the 12 inches found in the top spec trim. But yeah, for me, that's not really a deal breaker because it works. I mean, it gives me the right information, so it works. It definitely works, pare. We also have just 6 speakers here versus the 8 speakers found in the top spec titanium X. Other than that, this base trim is practically identical to the top spec titanium X, which means that we also get a 12-inch touchscreen infotainment system here that comes with wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto, very important for me, and of course the image of a 360-degree view camera. We also have a wireless charging pad here, and we have an electronic parking brake that has been given the glam treatment. I mean, it looks like a jewel right there. And of course, we don't have a gear shifter anymore because this next gen Territory now comes with a rotary knob for shifting gears. We also have active park assist here, pretty similar to the one found in the previous gen Territory. Now, as for the cabin materials here, well, dude, it is still wrapped in stitched soft leather for your dashboard, and we still have the same engineered wood found in the previous gen Territory. So suffice to say, this is a very premium feeling and executive looking cabin as what you'd expect from a Ford Territory. Now, since this next-gen Ford Territory has gained in terms of length, I mean, it's longer than before. Yeah, pare, that's what I'm talking about. Anyway, it's longer than before. That means that the space here in the second row area is a huge improvement from the previous gen. I mean, we get tons of legroom here, and yeah, pare, the seats. I'm surprised with the seats because they are softer and more comfortable than the previous gen Territory seats. Now, the fact that we also have a lesser aggressive belt line here means that the second row passengers have larger picture windows. So despite the fact that this base trim titanium doesn't get a panoramic sunroof, well, it still doesn't feel claustrophobic here at the back. In fact, it just feels like a regular and spacious compact crossover, which is great. Now, as for the amenities, well, we do get the full spec here. We have a solo USB charge port there, a pair of rear AC vents, and we also have, of course, a center armrest with a couple of cup holders. However, pare, what's a little bit of a disappointment here though is that this base trim titanium only has some basic safety bits. Now, as you're seeing on your screen, yeah, it has a decent set, mind you, but it doesn't get as much driver assist aids as I would want. I mean, for the price that this base spec Territory Titanium comes in, yeah, there are other price contenders in the category that will offer you a full suite of driver assist aids. So yeah, if you want all the driver assist aids in the Territory, you'll have to pony up for the top spec Titanium X trim. The rear end design is pretty typical of a compact crossover that hails from China. Of course, we get full LED taillight units here, the usual design embellishments on the rear bumper, plus that Territory name right there in the center of the liftgate. However, this base trim titanium only gets a manual liftgate versus the automatic liftgate found in the Titanium X. And I do wish that this were a power liftgate, because yeah, this is pretty heavy, pare. It's pretty heavy. Or maybe this is just a brand new unit. Anyway, once we have it open, you can now see the biggest upgrade here at the back, which is cargo capacity. You see, the next-gen Territory can now hold 448 to 458 liters of cargo space. Basta, it's more than the previous gen Territory. How much more, you ask? Well, dude pare, we can now accommodate 3 medium-sized luggage here versus the 1 medium-sized luggage and change that can be found in the previous gen Ford Territory. Now, of course, the back seats can still be tumbled down to give you over 1,000 liters of cargo space. And if you're looking for the spare tire, it can be found right here underneath the floorboard. Oh, yeah, heavy. The base spec next-gen Territory Titanium gets a bunch of upgrades from the previous gen, most notably the engine, transmission, and overall space. While the lack of a panoramic sunroof may be missed by some, the more traditional crossover shape of the next-gen Territory means that the cabin feels more spacious than before. It is a promising compact crossover, able to keep up with the times, but with an influx of new contenders that offer the same features and kit for the price. Well, let's reserve judgment until I get a chance to drive this next-gen Ford Territory. Thanks for watching.